For 5,000 years, the Tellurian Council struggled with the paradox engine. This strange machine was found in the ruins of a very old civilization. No one knew who built it or how it worked. The Tellurians were the smartest beings in the galaxy. They had ships that could travel between stars and cities that floated in the air. Their scientists could do amazing things, but they could not make the paradox engine work. The engine was small enough to fit in a room, but had many parts that moved in ways that made no sense. It was made of a metal that did not exist anywhere else. When Tellurian engineers tried to take it apart, the pieces would change shape. When they tried to scan it, their machines would give different results each time. Elder Do-young was the head of the Tellurian science team. He had studied the engine for 200 years. He had gray skin and 4 eyes that blinked one after another when he was thinking. Today, he was thinking very hard. Another failure, he said to his team. They stood in a large white room where the engine sat on a platform. Lights flashed on its surface, but they meant nothing to the Tellurians. "We have tried everything," said Suman, his assistant. "Perhaps it is broken." "It is not broken," Do-young said. "It is waiting for something, or someone." The Tellurians believed the engine could give them unlimited power and let their ships travel faster than light. These were things they had tried to do for thousands of years. The stories said that the engine had once worked, long ago, but no one knew how to make it work again. Far away, on a small blue planet called Earth, humans were just learning to travel to nearby stars. Their ships were slow and noisy. They used too much fuel, but they worked. Humans had only known about aliens for 10 years, since a Tellurian ship landed in a place called Seoul. The humans were excited to meet the Tellurians. They wanted to learn from them. The Tellurians were polite, but did not think much of humans. Humans were too young, too messy, and too emotional. But the rules of the galaxy said all spacefaring species must be welcomed. One day, Do-young had a new idea. "We should invite the humans to our technology summit," he said. "The humans?" asked Suman. "They barely understand space travel." "Exactly," said Do-young. "Sometimes a child sees things that adults miss, and we must follow the rules of inclusion." So the Tellurians sent a message to Earth. They invited humans to visit the capital city of Tellus and see their technology. They did not mention the engine. That was too important to share with newcomers. On Earth, the leaders were very excited. They chose their best scientists to go. One of them was Dr. Joo Kim, who fixed machines that other people thought were broken beyond repair. She was not famous or important. She worked in a small lab and talked to herself while she worked. But her boss said she was the best engineer he had ever seen. "I don't want to go," Joo said when they told her. "I have work to do here." "This is the chance of a lifetime," her boss said. "And we need someone who understands how things work." Joo did not like to travel or meet new people, but she was curious about alien technology, so she agreed to go. The human team traveled to Tellus on a Tellurian ship. It was smooth and quiet, and much faster than human ships. Joo spent the whole trip looking at how everything worked. The Tellurians thought her questions were strange. When they arrived on Tellus, the humans were amazed. The city had buildings that reached into the clouds. The air was clean. The streets moved to take people where they wanted to go. "This is day 1 of your visit," Do-young told them. "Tomorrow, we will show you our technology center. But remember, you are here to observe, not to touch." That night, Joo could not sleep. She felt that something important was waiting for her, something that had been waiting for a very long time. Little did she know that the next day, she would see the paradox engine, and everything would change. Joo woke up feeling nervous. She did not like being on a strange planet with strange people. Her room in the Tellurian guest house was too clean and too quiet. She missed her messy lab on Earth where tools were scattered everywhere and music played all day. "I should not be here," she said to herself as she put on her blue Earth uniform. "I am not an ambassador. I am just an engineer." When she joined the other humans in the dining hall, they were all excited. They talked about what they might see at the Tellurian Technology Center. Ju sat alone and ate her food in silence. "Are you okay?" asked Dr. Park, the leader of the Earth team. He was tall and always smiled too much. "I want to go home," said Ju. "But we just got here." Dr. Park laughed. "Give it a chance. The Tellurians have technology we've only dreamed about." Ju nodded but did not speak. She knew Dr. Park was right, but that did not make her feel better. After breakfast, Do-hyun and 5 other Tellurians came to take the humans to the technology center. They traveled on a floating platform that moved without making any sound. Ju looked at the machinery under the platform when no one was watching. She could not understand how it worked. The technology center was the biggest building Ju had ever seen. It was made of a white material that looked like metal, but felt like glass. Inside, the halls were wide and full of Tellurians working on things Ju had never seen before. "This is where we develop our most important innovations," said Do-hyun. His 4 eyes blinked one after another as he spoke. "We will show you things that your species may achieve in 1,000 years, if you continue to progress." The other humans looked excited. Ju felt uncomfortable. The Tellurians talked as if humans were children. She did not like that. They visited many rooms with amazing machines. The Tellurians had robots that could think, medicine that could cure any disease, and computers smaller than a grain of rice. The other humans asked many questions. Ju stayed quiet and watched. She noticed something strange about the Tellurian technology. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. Every machine did exactly what it was supposed to do, no more and no less. There were no extra parts, no quick fixes, no mistakes that turned into new ideas. At lunch, the humans sat with some Tellurian scientists. One of them, named Minja, asked Ju a question. "You are very quiet, human engineer. Do you not find our technology impressive?" "It is very impressive," said Ju. "But it is also very straight." Straight. Minja's 4 eyes all blinked at once. "Everything works perfectly because you designed it perfectly," said Ju. "Have you ever made something that worked even though it should not work?" The Tellurians looked at each other. They did not understand. "Why would we make something that should not work?" asked Minja. Ju tried to explain. "Sometimes on Earth, we fix machines in ways that are not perfect. We use parts that were not made for that machine. We try things that should not work, but sometimes they do. And sometimes we learn new things from our mistakes." The Tellurians still looked confused. Dr. Park gave Ju a look that said, "Stop talking," but she could not stop. "Your technology is amazing," she said, "but it all feels the same. Like you only know one way to solve problems." The room became very quiet. The other humans looked embarrassed. The Tellurians looked at Ju with all their eyes. Finally, Do-hyun spoke. "An interesting observation, human engineer. Perhaps this afternoon's tour will give you a different perspective." After lunch, they went to a special part of the building. The sign on the door said, "Historical Institute of Technology." Inside were old Tellurian machines from thousands of years ago. "This is where we keep the technologies of our past," said Do-hyun, "and some technologies from civilizations even older than ours." They walked through rooms of old machines. Some looked like the new ones but bigger and less efficient. Some were completely different. Ju found these more interesting. They showed different ways of thinking. At the end of the hall was a special room with guards at the door. Do-hyun stopped the group. "What you are about to see is our greatest mystery," he said. "For 5,000 years, we have tried to understand it. Even with all our knowledge, we have failed." The guards opened the door. In the center of the room, on a platform surrounded by scanning equipment, sat a strange machine. It was not big, but it seemed to pull everyone's eyes toward it. Parts of it moved slowly, like it was breathing. Lights flashed across its surface in patterns that made no sense. "This is the paradox engine," said Do-hyun. the greatest challenge in the galaxy. Juwu stared at the engine. For the first time since arriving on Tellus, she forgot her discomfort. She forgot she wanted to go home. All she could think was, I know what this is. The other humans looked at the paradox engine with polite interest. They nodded and smiled as Do-Yun explained how the Tellurians had found it in the ruins of an ancient civilization. But Juwu could not look away from the machine. Something about it seemed familiar, even though she had never seen anything like it before. May I get closer? She asked, interrupting Do-Yun. The Tellurian stopped talking and all four of his eyes blinked at once. You may observe from this distance, he said. No one touches the engine. I just want to see it better, said Juwu. She took 2 steps forward before Dr. Park grabbed her arm. Sorry, Dr. Park said to Do-Yun. Our engineer is very curious. Curiosity is good, said Do-Yun. But rules are important. The engine is unpredictable. Sometimes it releases energy when disturbed. Juwu stayed where she was, but her mind was racing. The engine had moving parts that seemed random at first, but Juwu could see patterns. Some parts moved clockwise, then counterclockwise. Some parts expanded and contracted like they were breathing. Lights flashed in sequences that almost made sense. What have you tried to make it work? She asked. Do-Yun looked surprised by her question. Everything, he said. For 5,000 years, our best engineers have tried everything. Can you tell me what you've tried? Do-Yun listed many things. They had analyzed the metal. They had tried different types of energy. They had used computers to predict how it should work. They had copied parts of it to see if they could make a new one. Nothing worked. The engine is meant to create unlimited energy and allow faster-than-light travel, said Do-Yun. But we cannot make it function. Juwu thought about all the broken machines she had fixed back on Earth. Sometimes a machine did not work because a part was broken. But sometimes it did not work because it was missing something, or because the person using it did not understand how it was supposed to work. What if? She started, then stopped. The other humans were looking at her with worry. They thought she was being rude. But she could not stop thinking about the engine. What if? She tried again. It's not broken. What if it's waiting for something? Waiting? Do-Yun's eyes blinked in sequence. It is a machine. Machines do not wait. Not waiting like a person, said Juwu. Waiting like a lock waiting for the right key. The Tellurians looked at each other. This was not a new idea to them. They had tried many keys over the years. Look at the patterns, said Juwu, pointing to the engine. See how some parts move together and some move opposite? It's like they're trying to match each other, but can't quite do it. Minjae, the Tellurian scientist from lunch, moved closer to Juwu. What do you see that we do not? Juwu tried to explain. On Earth, we sometimes build machines with gaps, spaces that need to be filled to make the machine work, like a puzzle missing pieces. The Tellurians still looked confused. Their machines were always complete when they built them. The idea of building something unfinished made no sense to them. Or, Juwu tried again, like a test. A machine that tests if you understand how it works before it will work for you. This made more sense to the Tellurians. They had tests for many things. We have considered this, said Do-Yun, but we have not found what the test requires. Juwu looked at the engine again. The moving parts seemed to be reaching for each other, but never touching. The lights flashed in patterns that almost repeated, but not quite. It's not one test, she said suddenly. It's many tests in one. Look at how the parts move. They're all doing different things, but they're connected. The room was quiet. Even the other humans were listening now. I think, said Juwu slowly, the engine is designed to be imperfect. It's missing things on purpose, things that the user has to provide. What things? Asked Minja. I'm not sure yet, said Juwu, but I think it needs balance. Look at how some parts turn one way and others turn the opposite way. They're unbalanced. But what if they're supposed to be balanced? The Tellurians talked among themselves in their own language. Ju could not understand the words, but she could tell they were excited. Do-Yun turned to her. You have an interesting theory, human engineer. No one has suggested this exact approach before. But how would we test it? Ju took a deep breath. What she wanted to ask was crazy. These aliens would never agree. But she had to try. Let me touch it, she said. Let me try to balance it. The room became very quiet. The Tellurians stared at her with all their eyes. The other humans looked shocked. Impossible, said one Tellurian guard. Dangerous, said another. But Do-Yun was quiet, thinking. His eyes blinked one after another as he looked at Ju, then at the engine, then back at Ju. Why should we let you touch our most valuable artifact? He asked finally. You, who come from a planet that has only known about space travel for a few years. Ju thought about this. Why should they trust her? She was nothing special on Earth, just an engineer who fixed broken things. Because, she said, sometimes fresh eyes see what experienced eyes miss. And because I think the people who made this wanted anyone to be able to use it, not just the smartest or most advanced. Do-Yun was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded once. You may approach the engine, he said, but you may not touch it yet. First, tell us exactly what you plan to do. Ju walked slowly toward the paradox engine. Her heart was beating fast. The other humans watched with worried faces. Dr. Park looked like he wanted to stop her, but he stayed quiet. Tell us your plan, said Do-Yun, following close behind her. I think the engine is designed to be balanced, said Ju, like two sides of a scale. Right now, some parts are moving too fast and others too slow. Some are too hot and others too cold. She stopped a few steps away from the engine and pointed to different parts as she spoke. See this part here? It's spinning clockwise. And this part over here is spinning counterclockwise, but not at the same speed. I think they should match. We have tried matching the speeds, said Minja. It did nothing. But did you match all of them at once? Asked Ju. I think they all need to balance at the same time. The Tellurians looked at each other. They had always focused on one part at a time, trying to understand each piece before moving to the next. What tools will you need? Asked Do-Yun. Something to adjust the speed of the moving parts, said Ju, and something to measure heat and energy. Minhye brought her a set of Tellurian tools. They were much more advanced than anything on Earth. Ju took a few minutes to understand how they worked. These will do, she said. May I touch the engine now? Do-Yun hesitated, then nodded. Be careful. We do not know what will happen. Ju stepped up to the platform where the engine sat. It was even more strange up close. The metal seemed to shine from within, and the moving parts made soft sounds like music. First, she used a tool to measure the speed of each moving part. Then she measured the temperature and energy levels. She made notes on a small computer the Tellurians gave her. It's like I thought, she said. Nothing matches. But there's a pattern to how they don't match. What do you mean? Asked Minjae, who had moved closer to watch. It's hard to explain, said Ju. But look at these numbers. This part is moving at 27 units. This one is at 42. And this one is at 65. Those numbers mean nothing to us, said Do-Yun. But look, said Ju, showing him the computer. 27 plus 38 equals 65. And 65 minus 23, which is the speed of this fourth part, equals 42. They're all connected by simple math. The Tellurians looked surprised. They had measured these things before, but they had never seen this pattern. So what will you do? Asked Minja. I'll adjust each part to create balance, said Ju. If one part is too fast, I'll slow it down. If another is too slow, I'll speed it up. Same with temperature and energy. She started working with the tools. Her hands moved quickly and surely. Sometimes she would stop and think, then start again. The Tellurians watched in silence. The other humans moved closer to see. After 10 minutes, Ju stepped back. "I've adjusted everything I can reach," she said. "But there are parts inside that I can't get to." "So it will not work?" asked Do-Yun. "I'm not done yet," said Ju. "I think the engine is designed to respond to what we do. If we balance the outer parts, it might balance the inner parts itself." She reached out and touched 2 parts of the engine at the same time. Nothing happened. "Try 3 points of contact," suggested Minjae, who was now very interested. Ju touched 3 different parts of the engine. Still nothing. "Maybe it needs human body heat," said Dr. Park, speaking for the first time. "No," said Ju. "It's not about heat. It's about symmetry." She looked at the engine again, thinking hard. Then she smiled. "I see it now," she said. "It's not about touching the right places. It's about creating the right pattern around it." She took the Tellurian tools and placed them in a circle around the engine. She arranged them at specific distances from each other. "What are you doing?" asked Do-Yun. "Creating balance outside the engine to match the balance I created inside it," said Ju. "Like making a mirror image." When she placed the last tool, something changed. The engine's movements became smoother. The lights began to flash in a regular pattern. A soft humming sound filled the room. "It's responding," said Minjae in a whisper. Ju stepped back and watched. The engine was moving differently now. All its parts were turning at matching speeds, either exactly the same or exact opposites. The lights were flashing in patterns that repeated perfectly. "Now it needs one more thing," said Ju. "What?" asked Do-Yun. "A question," said Ju. "It's waiting for us to ask it something." "How do you know that?" asked Dr. Park. "Because it's ready to answer," said Ju. "Look at it. It's like a computer that has finished starting up." Do-Yun stepped forward. "What should we ask it?" "Something simple," said Ju. "Something a machine would understand." Do-Yun thought for a moment, then spoke to the engine. "What is your purpose?" The engine's lights flashed faster. The humming got louder. Then, in the center of the engine, a light appeared. It grew until it was a ball of light floating above the engine. The ball of light changed shape until it formed a map of the galaxy. "It's a star map," said Minjae. "But it shows stars we have never seen before." "And look," said Ju, pointing. "These lines connecting the stars. They're paths, travel routes." The map zoomed in to show a smaller section of the galaxy. One star was glowing brighter than the others. "That's our sun," said Dr. Park. "Earth's sun." The map changed again to show a different star far across the galaxy. This one was glowing even brighter. "What does it mean?" asked Do-Yun. "I think," said Ju slowly, "it's showing us how to get somewhere. Somewhere important." The engine's humming changed to a series of pulses. The lights flashed in patterns that seemed like language. "It's trying to communicate," said Minjae. One of the Tellurian scientists brought a computer and connected it to the engine. Numbers and symbols appeared on the screen. "These are coordinates," said the scientist, "and instructions for faster than light travel." The room was silent. Everyone stared at the engine, at the map, at the computer. "She did it," said Dr. Park quietly. "She made it work." Do-Yun turned to Ju. All 4 of his eyes were wide open. "In minutes," he said, "you solved what we could not solve in 5,000 years." Ju shook her head. "I didn't solve it," she said. "I just saw it differently. Sometimes that's all you need." News of what happened in the technology center spread quickly across Tellus. By evening, every Tellurian knew that a human engineer had made the Paradox engine work. Some were angry. Some were embarrassed. But most were curious. Ju spent the next day explaining to Tellurian scientists how she had approached the problem. She did not understand all the science behind the engine, but she understood patterns and balance. "I think the creators of the engine made it this way on purpose," she said. "They wanted to see if those who found it could think in new ways." But why? Asked Minja. Why make it so difficult? Maybe they wanted to know if you were ready, said Juwu. Ready for what the engine can do. What the engine could do was amazing. The data it provided showed how to travel faster than light without using much energy. It also showed the location of other ancient artifacts scattered across the galaxy. Some were on planets no one had visited before. On the third day after the engine started working, Doyan called a meeting. All the human visitors were there. So were the leaders of the Tellurian Council. We have made a decision, said Doyan. We want to work with humans. Together, we will study the engine and find the other artifacts. Dr. Park looked surprised. You want our help, but your technology is so much more advanced than ours. Technology is not everything, said Doyan. Your engineer Juwu has shown us that. You humans think differently than we do. You see patterns we miss. You try things we would never try. It's true, said Minja. For thousands of years, we have focused on perfection. Everything we build works exactly as planned. But the universe is not perfect. It is messy and full of surprises, like humans. Juwu smiled at this. She knew it was true. Humans were messy. They made mistakes, but sometimes those mistakes led to new discoveries. We propose a new alliance, said Doyan. Tellurians and humans working together. We will share our technology with you. You will share your creativity with us. The humans talked among themselves. This was a big decision. Earth was still new to space travel. An alliance with the most advanced civilization in the galaxy would change everything. We need to talk to our leaders on Earth, said Dr. Park. But I think they will agree. 1 year later, the first joint Human-Tellurian Research Center opened on Earth. Juwu was chosen to lead the human team. Minja led the Tellurian team. They worked together to understand the paradox engine and build ships that could use its technology. The work was not easy. Humans and Tellurians thought very differently. They argued often, but they also learned from each other. The Tellurians taught humans about advanced science and technology. They helped humans build better ships, better computers, and better cities. Life on Earth became easier and healthier. The humans taught Tellurians how to think in new ways, how to try crazy ideas, how to learn from mistakes. Tellurian technology began to change, becoming more flexible and creative. 5 years after Juwu first touched the engine, the first ship using engine technology was ready. It could travel to distant stars in days instead of years. Juwu and Minjae were chosen to lead the first mission. Their destination was a planet shown on the engine's map. It was far across the galaxy, in a place no one had ever visited. The night before they left, Juwu looked at the stars from her window on Earth. She thought about how much had changed. 5 years ago, she had been a lonely engineer fixing broken machines. Now she was about to travel farther than any human had ever gone. Are you nervous? Asked Minjae, who had come to say goodbye to Earth. Yes, said Juwu, but also excited. I am too, said Minja. I never thought I would work with humans. Now, I can't imagine working without you. Juwu smiled. We make a good team. Tellurians know so much. Humans ask so many questions. Questions are good, said Minja. They lead to answers. The next day, they boarded the ship with a crew of humans and Tellurians. As the ship rose into space, Juwu thought about the paradox engine and the ancient civilization that built it. I think they would be happy, she said to Minja. Who? Asked Minja. The people who built the engine, said Juwu. I think this is what they wanted. Different species working together, learning from each other. Minja's 4 eyes blinked one after another, which Juwu now knew was a sign of agreement. Perhaps the real test was not making the engine work, said Minja. Perhaps the real test was what we did after it worked. As the ship prepared to jump to faster than light speed, Juwu looked at the crew around her, humans and Tellurians working side by side, each bringing different strengths to their shared mission. The paradox engine had done more than give them new technology. It had taught them that progress needed diversity of thought. That was the real gift from the ancient civilization. Not the engine itself, but the lesson it taught. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, heading toward new discoveries and a future where different ways of thinking came together to create something greater than either could achieve alone.